All right. Braden's got another solution here, and we're going to try it out again. Let me know if you can hear us well, Ami. You can either say it back in the microphone or you could just type it into the chat. Just let me know if you can hear us well. And also see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Oh, great. All right, well, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question anytime, or also type into the chat. But since it's a smaller group tonight, it's going to be good because we're going to be able to do a bit of a review and to catch up on some things that we did last year, but by doing new things. So last week we did a lot of review of things from last year, just showing them. But I think today we're going to get into and actually build something like that, and it'll also be a bit of a review, and it'll also be an opportunity for Ami to learn some things for the first time. So the first thing I'm going to do is just type show group just to see who all is in the group. We might have some other people joining with us later on as we go. But tonight I want to do two things. I want us to practice writing some HTML. We're going to make a web page for Easter because Easter is coming up, right? So I thought we would make a cool little web page that we can maybe send out the link to people at Easter that's personalized. So I'm going to go and show you. I'm going to load it up, and then I'm going to show you how to load it up on your side, because I fixed the bugs that we had last week. We had a couple bugs. I fixed the one inside of the drone game, and I also fixed the one where I can publish code. So I'm going to load up this Easter card that I made as an example. So this is the code that we're going to walk through tonight slowly, but I just want to run it for you so you can see what it's supposed to do. So do you remember how to run code, Braden?
Yes.
What command is it?
Run code.
What? Run code?
Run code.
Yeah, just say it loudly so we can get it in
But
the
if you
microphone.
do the robot one, it's run code space robot.
Right. So I'm going to run code here, and you'll see on the left it says, what is your name? My name is Christian. So I'm going to hit OK, and then it made a little Easter card.
So
Happy
cute.
Easter, Christian, with a bunny and then a little quote. And so that's what we're going to work on in the first half of tonight. Is we're going to do a little review, and we're going to look at some HTML. And then also we're going to start building a game. Remember that last week when we went to Make Code Arcade, there was a sing game there. So we're going to try that. I think you need to do lowercase. Yeah, okay. So Braden is just testing out her, yes, it's working. Braden's on a tablet at the moment. Her laptop is still not working very well for the internet, but it seems to be doing well for this. Okay, so here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to start by sending you guys, I have one here that I can load up a starter, and it has a little bit of code in it, and then I'm going to send it out to all of you guys. So I have here Easter card version 1. Let me run that, and you'll see the difference between that and the one that's finished. So see here, it's got some of it, but it doesn't have all of it. So I'm going to publish this out to you guys so you'll have it. Publish code. I'm going to call this Easter card V1 for version 1. Now, when I hit that, on all of your sides, you should get a little pop-up that I just had here where it says Easter card. And that means that the code got sent to you. So I'll show you how you can open it up. If you click on the second tab on the right, this brings us into the editor. And on the editor, at the bottom, you'll see that we can load things, we can save things. And if we load, open up, you should be able to see the one I just sent along with all the others. And the one I just sent is called Easter card version 1. So I'll click there, and it should also load up on your side. So try that on your side. Well, first you have to click the tab at the top, right? Okay, so did that work on your side there, Ami? You can say with your microphone, or you can say in the chat.
Sorry, we're not really sure. We can see your screen now, and then when we go out, we see Code Plant live. So we should toggle between the two screens, or what should we do? Because she's got to be on Code Live, right? I'm not so sure how to do that.
Oh, I see. So to share, he can do it either way. So some people split them. Shut that door for me, Grace, with the dog. Some people will split the screen and maybe put my screen in a small part of the screen and then work on Code Plant. Because I will be sharing, or she can be here on Code Plant, the same screen that I'm sharing, and then just listen to the audio, one of the other.
Okay. Okay, so we can see, I don't know what to do. We can see your screen now, and then is it on the Code Plant Live that she was supposed to get the message?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
With stream output or lessons?
On the right-hand
or
side here.
What?
Yeah. On the other set of
there.
tabs on the right, you'll see that there's a
Okay.
tab, and then at the very bottom there's a button called load. And then if you load it on her side, it should just the one that we just sent. And if you click,
Okay.
then that will load.
Okay. I see it now. We loaded. Yes. Saved projects. Easter card 1.
Yes.
We've got it.
Fantastic.
I
And
just
so,
don't know. I still don't know with the screens. So she should be working on. It's the first time we do it, but last time we had 2 computers.
oh, I
one
see.
with the Code Plant Live, and now we've got Zoom on this computer. So I just don't know yet how you can see it. You did explain, but I'm not so sure. Should I make it smaller?
Yeah, it's perhaps
see it both.
yeah, it's I think if she goes on Code Plant Live, while we're on Zoom,
Yes.
should make the Zoom that I'm sharing my screen should make a smaller screen on the bottom, but it shouldn't fill up the whole screen.
Oh no, I don't see that at all. We just see the old Code Plant Live, and then we have to toggle back to you to see.
Okay, that's frustrating. Okay, I see the issue now. Sorry, let me think about that for a second. Okay.
There's a load.
Let me see. And there's no way to put it.
Is there,
see on my, go ahead,
is there
sorry.
anything on? Is there anything on this? So I'm looking at Code Plant Live now. We're looking at Code Plant Live. Is there any way can we minimize something or press on something? Is there a button or something somewhere that we can activate your little screen in the corner?
Yeah,
or
no,
should it come up automatically?
yeah, that's the thing. It should be, yeah, it's a part of Zoom, not
Okay.
really part of Code Plant Live. That's what I'm trying to think about.
Okay, all right.
So there's two
Okay,
different
don't
ways.
worry.
No, it's fine. This is actually, I really want to work through this kind of stuff so it can be enjoyable and everybody can learn. So that's fine for us to, and also right now it's a small group of just Braden and Ami, so it's perfect to work through this now. What I'm thinking is we might, I don't want her to have to go back and forth and toggle. So if I go slowly and explain through, it's going to be on video. She could go back and watch the video in the future on the Code Plant Live. The streams will all come up here under lessons. So for instance, if I wanted to show last week, if I click here, then you'll see it loads. Then it's a lot easier to follow along afterwards. So maybe she follows along live and then to actually do the examples, it will be easier on one screen. Yes. But in the meantime, I'm going to think about that. I think you're right. Go ahead.
In the meanwhile, I think I'm going to open a Zoom on my other computer here, and then she's got the 2 computers. I'll do a lesson. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good workaround for now. Thank you for understanding. And yeah, we'll give us some thought on how to solve this issue.
Okay, thanks. Just need to mute just maybe.
Okay. All right. So Braden is going into the drone game, but it is working there on this new machine, right? That's not bad for running on a tablet there.
I was glad. Just the thing is, whenever I try to do like writing the code and stuff, it always crashes and restarts it.
Okay, well, we'll have to see. We'll look into that. I'm just going to wait for Ami to get her other screen up, and we're going to go and start talking about this card, and you can do this with me. Yeah, that's her other computer.
Can you see something happening there? Because it says you need to let me in.
I did, yeah. I just pressed it. It says joining now. I pressed it just before, yeah. I think she's picking up Callum. It seems to have dropped off, Hilette. I'm not sure. The extra one did join, but then it dropped off again. I did click admit.
It says connecting. You know what? Go on. You can see your screen, so I'll try.
Oh, here it is. Okay, I see here.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you for that workaround, that technical maneuvering on that side.
Okay, great. Okay, now it's gonna. Can you hear me there?
Yeah,
Okay, great. Okay, she's on it now. Thanks.
okay, so do you want to, okay, great. That's perfect. So you can see my screen. All right, well, if you have any questions, Ami, we're going to go through this slow, but if you have any questions, so I think we got up to the point where you were able to load the code by pressing load, and you had Easter card V1, and that should have put some code, 3 types of code actually, into these 3 tabs. And now we're going to talk through that. The first thing we're going to do is run it. And this is the part that we got stuck on last week because we hit the bug, but now that bug is fixed. You should have gotten the code on that side. So on the right-hand side here, we've got 3 tabs that we switch between. The first one we call the terminal. And on the terminal, we type commands in. And this is what we talked a little bit about last week, how we can talk to the computer in 2 ways. We can type commands or we can type scripts. And the second tab is where we type scripts. So we're going to type 3 different kinds of scripts in there. And then the third tab is just your profile. And we'll look at that one later. But now if we go back here, anytime there's code in the second tab here, which there should be now, we can go and type the run code command. That's what Braden remembered. So I type run code is 1 word and hit enter. And if you do that same thing, you should see it pop up on your left-hand side. It should show the same little Easter card. So if that does look the same, then we'll continue moving on. If you have any issues, if it doesn't pop up.
Yes, it does. It does look the same.
Great. All right. So what I want to show you is, this is the very simple beginning that we tried to go through last year of the kinds of code that we're writing. So on the right-hand side, if I click on that editor tab, I have these 3 types of code. And every website in the whole internet uses these 3 types of code. And the most basic, Braden, which one is this one in the middle?
That is HTML.
HTML. And what we said was, this is basically where all of the stuff we want to show, all the information in our document, all the images, all the words, all the texts, anything we want to put in our website goes into this type of code. And in this one, we just have some words, Happy Easter, and we have an image. We'll talk about the image in a second. We'll talk about all of that in a second. But we also have, on the right-hand side, we have, which one is that?
CSS, where you choose the colors.
That's right. This is a CSS where we apply the styles to it. So that's how I got things like the color yellow and the color white. And then the final one, we're not going to do any of this right away, but this one is called JavaScript. And this one is very advanced. You can do almost anything with JavaScript. In fact, this is the code that I write at work all the time too. So we're going to start by just looking at this HTML. And we said that HTML it's like putting commands in when we're in the terminal here. And we're just typing in, things like say, hello. That's a command that the computer takes and then does something with it. But here we're writing commands, but the computer doesn't do anything with it right away. It takes a moment. Let me help you with this. Okay. The computer doesn't do anything with it right away. It actually waits until we run it. So it's like basically a bunch of commands that we're waiting to run. And when the computer is ready, when we type run code, it runs it. And HTML is a funny language that, that's fun. Yeah, you can follow along with me. HTML is made up of these things called tags. Remember that, Braden?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember a tag is this funny thing right here is a tag. It looks funny, but let me start with a very simple one down here. If I do this P, this is a paragraph tag.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
Braden.
remember a lot of stuff.
Braden can write something inside of there. Go ahead.
Take
Sit there.
Roxy. Actually, I'll keep her. She's my baby.
So Braden's going to write something inside of our P tag, and we're going to see what that does.
Okay, let's start with these thingamabobbies. Each one, that thing. And you just press enter. Okay, I'm gonna write. I remember how to do writing. So I'm gonna write. Make sure to spell everything right. That's what I've learned.
Okay, so do I have to type a whole bunch of things?
There.
Okay.
And then
Let's run it and let's see
I know what's gonna happen.
what's going to happen.
I didn't just put an ID in there.
No, it's okay. You don't need an ID. So this is what we were trying to say is that if Braden wants the computer to show her this sentence here, she has to put it inside of a tag. And this is the tag that's called heading 1, H1. It's a funny tag, but it has an opening and it has a closing. And then when she does that, watch, let's run it and let's see what happens. So if I say run code. Oh, because I put it outside of, we put it outside of our area there. Sorry, it needs to be in an area where. Oops, just going to paste it in there. My mistake. And we run code. Now it shows up there just under the image. But what if I change this 1 to a 5? So this is a different kind of heading. Let's see what that does differently. I'm going to go here and I'm going to run code. And if I don't have to type it again, I can just use my up arrow and that'll give me the same command that I just did. So look there, H5 made it a lot smaller. So
It's like fractions.
yeah, it's
So-
like the biggest one is H1 and then it goes down from there. Every number that I go down from there makes it smaller. So if I want it to be like in between, I'm going to say H3 just as an example. And there, it gets a little bit bigger. So that's the simple idea of tags. And in HTML, we have all kinds of tags that we do things with. This is just to put text on the screen, but this one is to put an image on the screen. And so that is IMG, which stands for image. And this tag is a little bit different than the H tags because it is only one. It doesn't have the same open and closing. It's just one tag, but it has what we call inside of it properties. These are like arguments. When we're on the terminal and we try to type in say as our command and hey as our argument, it's the same idea when we're doing this in HTML. This is our command image, and this is the different arguments. We want it to be the width of 600, and then the source SRC is where the image is actually going to come from. Explain that, Braden. What does that mean? Where the image is going to come from?
Come from the image.
Right. So this right here is an address somewhere on the internet, right? Where that image is actually sitting.
Can I choose the image?
Yeah.
It's
So
easy. I'll show her.
okay. So we're going to remove this image here, and Braden's going to show how what this means. All this is saying is that there's an image somewhere on the internet that I want to show, and we just have to put the address. It's just like if I want to send a letter to Braden, I need to know what her address is, her PO box, right? And if I want to send her an email, I need to know what her email is. If I want to show this image there, I need to know what its address is, and that's the SRC. So Braden's going to go and do a little image search first here and find an image. And then she's going to show you how she gets the address for any image that's on the internet that she wants to use. So there's
Wait.
Easter. So Easter with dogs instead of bunnies.
It'd be
Okay, so
much
she
cuter.
finds one.
This one.
Okay, so,
Then I have to right click. No,
oh, sorry, on your machine, it's a right click. On an Apple, it's a 2-finger click.
Okay, then you have to go copy image address.
And that is, just to test it, we can always put it into a new tab here, and we can just paste it in and see if it comes up. And it does. If we paste it in there, the doggy comes up. So this is the address for that dog and that we can use in our code. So now that I've copied it, I can bring it right over here, again to CodePlan, and I can put it in this SRC. I'm going to paste it in, and then Braden's going to go here and run code again. And now we have the doggy image in there as well. So this is how all images in the internet actually work. In fact, if I go here to this profile, this because CodePlant Live is just the website too, right? It still has HTML and everything. So if I go to this image right here, and if I right click it, you'll see it says copy image address. And if I paste it in, it has an image in it as well. And so that's how we share things all across the internet. It's mostly images and videos and things like that, but all of them are stored somewhere. Some of them are private, where you're not allowed to use them unless you own them. And a lot of them are open, meaning that anybody can use them. So that's an image tag. So if I want, on my website, if I want the computer to show me an image, I have to just put this image. I can decide how big. Let's say I want it to be a lot bigger. So it's right now 600. Let's see what happens if I do that to 1600. And now I run code. You can try on, well, now the image is very big, and it forces my page to scroll even. So I can decide how big or how small. I liked 600, that was a good image. So I'm gonna go back to 600 there, and I'm gonna do it again, run code. And that is that same idea that we're doing with the image tag is the case for almost all the tags. It's, you just have to look at what you're trying to do. So that's why it's good to have a project like this, where it's an Easter card, and we say, okay, what are we designing? What do we want to put on the website that's going to say Happy Easter? So I thought it would be cool to maybe get the address, get the name of the person maybe who is visiting the website, right? So that's where it popped up and asked who the name is. We'll get to that maybe in our next lesson, but we're going to style this guy first, because I want you guys to understand that when we write these in, you can add in and change. This doesn't even have to be an Easter card. If you want to change it on your end to something else, it could be Happy Spring or something like that. You can choose a different image if you want. I actually have some, I think we have a couple of funny images on
Happy
CodePlan.
birthday, dog.
Christian,
Yes.
I just want to know this headings like the SRC and the H3. Is there like an index somewhere that you can find to
Yes.
tell you like,
That's
okay,
exactly. That's exactly it. So I was just about to share, there is actually a series of videos that I'll recommend. And
Okay, yes, we should we'll go through them.
yeah, I'm taking this very slow. Even with Braden and those, most of the time they've just spent changing the code there, not writing it from scratch very much yet. And so that's why I set the code out, and we can just play around with it. But there is a great series of videos in here under Practice HTML that it has, along with it, it also has a reference at the bottom here. I think this is the one. Yeah, so there's a lot of these tutorials that'll have a reference for each of the different tags.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, we'll go and have a look at them a bit.
Cool. So at the moment, let's just have a quick moment on what we're building, right? So we said we wanted to build an Easter card, right? So Braden had an Easter image. Just going to put that back there. And one of the things that I do in my code all the time is I try to leave comments for myself. So if you see this stuff like this that's blue, that's actually just me leaving comments. And it's often in code you'll see the comments are not messages to the computer, but they're messages to the person who wrote the code, or maybe somebody who comes in the future and reads the code. Because often today when we write code, it's I might write a bit, Braden might write a bit, somebody else down the road might write another bit, and 10 years later, somebody else might have to change it. So it's important to write comments in. So we'll learn how to do that as well. But the most basic information in tags are these two tags that we started with here. And then once we have something on the screen, I just wanted to show you before we move on to the other section today is how we can style it and we can do things with it. We can use this other set of code to actually change things. So if I go back here to my output, we have a couple things on the page already. We have an H1, a heading tag that says Happy Spring. We have an image that points to our Easter bunny image. And then Braden added this other H3. And all of this is just inside of a wrapper, something called a div. And it just means a division. It's just like if you're writing two paragraphs and you put a space between. This is just a way of dividing up sections. And so, Braden, what does it mean if I give something an ID?
It's a giving them like something they have to do.
Like a name that I can refer to. So what we did on the other side, on the CSS, is we can write in code to style those things that we put on our HTML. So all of these rules that I put in here are really pointing to this part of my HTML called holder. So you'll see here that I have everything inside of holder. So everything that I write in my rules here, and I just want to quickly go through the rules that I've applied here, and then we'll move to the other section of making a game from the Sing 2, where we'll do some dragging and dropping code. So on here, we only have, how many rules is that, Braden? 2, 4, 6, right? And so what is the first one? We said
Color white.
color white means all the text is going to be white. That's what we see here, that this text is all white.
The width has to be 100%. The height has to be 100%. The border has to be 1 pixel and a solid yellow color. The background color has to be purple, and the text align will be center.
Right, so it doesn't have to be, that's just what we chose it to be. If we could do anything, we could change this text align to left, and you'll see now when I run it, it moves everything off to the left-hand side. It's not a rule meaning that it has to be that way. I can change this background color from purple to blue.
Last year, what we did was everyone was asking my dad, what color can you change it? What color can you change it? And then we ended up all saying, what about jet yellow?
Yep, so you can do yellow.
You can't do jet yellow. Have you tried? No. So that shows that some laptops aren't smart. They don't know every
Okay,
single
so well, I think Braden invented a new color called jet yellow that the computer doesn't know. So if we teach the computer what jet yellow means, then it'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is, now that you've gotten that, I want to send over the final one also as an example, and I want to move to something a little bit easy. What I like to do at the beginning, we do look at a little bit of HTML in the first half. So we're learning a bit about this code, and we're really at the early stages of just talking through what the code does, starting to get an understanding of what's going on here and how it comes out on this side. But we're also going to make some drag and drop code together on the gaming platform that we looked at last week. And that's actually going to also teach us some of the simple logic of code. So I'm going to switch over to that, but I just want to share with you guys so you have a version of it on your side, the final Easter card, because we're going to work on this again a little bit next week and then finish it up the following week. But I want to publish it out to you. So publish code.
I just quickly want to ask, we somehow lost your little message with the spring thing. Where can we find it again?
Which message?
The whole code, this whole Easter message. It was under the HTML, but it was under the not HTML. Sorry, it was under that top, the middle bar. But there's just nothing now. To play around with on our side. Yes, that part.
Yes, so it's okay. It's still there if you click on load at the bottom.
Load. Okay.
Yes. Sorry. Well, let me.
Yes. Sorry, I've got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect. No, that's exactly it. Anytime if you get stuck, ask a question. So down here at the bottom is you can basically load and save. If you're working on something, you can save it yourself, and if you can also clear it. And when I publish code, it comes up in there, and then when you load it, it loads up. I want to publish one more for you guys. I want to publish the finished one. I'm going to say Easter card version. Well, I'll just say final. And now you should have another one there that if you go into that load, I'm going to clear this first. If I go to load, I'll have Easter card final there. And that will bring up the whole one with all of the styling and everything that you can also run just to test out on your side. And my name is Christian. And you'll see here, this one, this has all the fancy styling that we're going to learn over the next couple of weeks.
I have a question.
Yes, what's your question?
When you always say Christian, but does it always have to be Christian?
No.
Okay, so can I try without Christian? Like saying run code and then.
Right, so now Braden, you type something, run code. So there, it's switched now to Happy Easter Braden. So that's the ending project that we're working towards. And to get there, we have to learn a little bit more about our tags, which we're going to go in more depth. And then we also have to look into some JavaScript, because there's a couple simple lines of JavaScript here too that we'll look at. Nothing more advanced than we looked at before, but it just takes the user's name and puts it into the screen. So that you should have, like I said just a minute ago, if you change any of this and you want to save after playing around with it, like Braden added things in, you can just click save and it will pop up here, and you can change the name or you can write it over that same name. It's up to you. And then it should be available next time you want to come. You can just go to load and you'll see that it's available there for you to load back up again. So you're welcome to come anytime to CodePlant and practice that and load it up and watch some of the other videos in here as well. Some of the streams, we go also quite in depth into some of the HTML and JavaScript. So in our time remaining, I want us to go to this Make Code Arcade that we looked a little bit at last week. What I really like about this is that we can learn coding concepts while we're making and playing the games. And what I really like, last week we did a bit of this monster truck racer, but I like these, they call them skill maps, where we just do a couple steps, and in each step we're learning some more about code, and we're also learning some more about making games.
Sing 2.
So we're gonna do the Sing 2 one.
We watched it.
Yeah, and this we'll read here. I'm gonna have Braden sit here in this seat and drive this one. But it says learn to create a clicker game
And quickly rack up the points.
and quickly rack up the points as you applaud your favorite stars from Sing 2. Okay, so if you click on the first key there and then restart, you can also follow along if you want, or you can, at the end, I'm also going to share the
Okay.
code. So on the side, it says the world is a stage. The game will test your speed as quickly as possible to earn points. So inside of Make Code Arcade, just a second before you drag anything, Braden, on the right-hand side is our coding area. This is sort of like where we would be typing if it was a text coding. And then on the side is all of our functions that we can use in our code. And each one of these has different things that we're going to learn about to make our game. But it's saying here, open the scene category. So start with that. And that only has one bit of code in it that we drag out, set background. And then it says,
You can either draw some.
it doesn't say that. It says click next. You got to read the instructions there.
Yeah.
It says choose the stage background and then click done.
You could either draw something or you could.
Exactly. So they're just for their speed, they're asking us to choose the one that's already drawn, but you're absolutely
Oh,
right.
wow, it's drawn.
To make a real game of your own, you got to design all, and that's what we're going to work up to. I'd like us to make a game where we design all the graphics ourselves, make everything custom.
I added a dot. There. Okay.
All right, so click next. Okay, it says click on the game window tab above, which is just to the left. So while you're developing, it's important to test and test often